right, we're here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Boss Lady Monday. We got to rename that in 2019 because last week we had New York Times bestselling author Bob Berg on, which is still one of the greatest experiences I've had. And today we have got just another powerhouse here, Miss Kendrick Chapman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
It is my pleasure. Now, y'all may be thinking, holy cow, that's a whole lot of Southern. I was just ready for Kendrick. But turns out Kelsey is from Tennessee, not too terribly far where I'm from. So you're getting a whole lot of Southern here today. And it's your lucky, lucky day because there's not enough Southern online, I don't think.
I agree. So people saying y'all.
Y'all, exactly. So I have to tell everybody watching what happened, how you ended up here. So I was scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, something, and something that Kelsey had caught my eye. I believe I even opted in for it. I don't opt in for much. So actually, I know I did. I remember very well. I opted in. And if I opt in for your stuff, the next thing I do is send a message to my team that says, we need this person on the show because they grabbed my attention because I don't opt in much anymore. Kelsey is, among many things, a branding strategist for creatives, but she's here today to talk about Instagram. And I got so many questions, I don't know where to start. So we're going to jump in, Kelsey.
I'm excited. Hit me.
So tell us, so let me back up. So when I started, 8 years ago, it's insane. 8 years ago, Facebook was all the rave. Like that was how I found the majority of my customers. It's still our number one source of traffic, Facebook. But I also know that times they have changed. Yeah. And Instagram is this huge opportunity for business owners to connect, engage with their audience. Yes?
Oh, absolutely.
And so if you're just getting started with Instagram, because we got people who are just getting started, we have people who are much further along than I am. What's the first thing you need to keep in mind when you set up your Instagram profile for your business?
That it's all about building connectedness with your audience. That's pretty much everything I'm harping on nowadays because we are bombarded with sales pitches left and right on every single social media platform. So, there's nothing really new under the sun. So what's going to set you apart is your essence and who you are. And we've kind of got this 80-20 marketing rule of, 80% connectedness, 20% sales on social media. But I think people are craving even more connectedness than that. I actually, committed to truly just building connectedness with my why, my brand this year versus cold hard sales on social media. And it changed the game for me. I think people really choose to work with you based on who you are. And you might speak your ideal customer's language in a different way than your competitor does. And if you truly believe there's enough piece of the pie to go around, if there's a piece of the pie for everyone, and work out of that abundance mindset, you really will use that connectedness to attract the right people. And then people who connect with your competitor, they'll go there, and that's okay. But I think Instagram, really came on the scene as a visual platform, and people were so excited with the creativity, but then it got really glossy really fast to where everything was curated perfectly and people got really tired of it. And then I think stories saved the day because it reintroduced connectedness. And I think that's what we're seeing. People are craving the ability to connect.
So you bring up a couple of really interesting points. The first one is, and it's so interesting to me that this gets, you bring it up and it's super important, but it's interesting to me that a lot of experts miss this. And of course you're not missing it, but that step 1 and step 2 of selling is prospecting and engagement. We tend to skip right over that engagement piece. And it's exactly what you're using the word connected, but it's the same thing. It means, it means the same thing. And so I think that's one of the reasons that authentic selling took off so fast is because it allows people to connect and engage and do business with people you like. And if I'm not for you, please go. I wish you the best. Go find who the person you want to do business with is, right?
Oh, yeah. And I've had someone, book a discovery call with me for a program. through Instagram, acquired that lead through Instagram. And she basically read one of my competitors' post word for word. This competitor is 10 times bigger than me, a much broader reach, way more popular, but my essence connected with her. And then obviously my competitor has a lot of people connecting with her message. And that's beautiful that someone can come and say, you speak my language, I want to work with you. And I think if you can really build in that connectedness with who you are and what you get to do with your brand or business, that will connect with the right people and land with the right people if you use the platform strategically.
It's such a freeing thing, I think, to realize that you can just be you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the other thing you brought up is Instagram stories. So my daughter is 10 and she has Instagram and she follows a lot of Broadway stars on Instagram. And so she's always telling me what they're doing on their Instagram story. She's like, Mom, for somebody who like uses social media all the time, you need to get on some Instagram stories. And I'm like, oh my God, just another thing to learn.
Yeah.
So,
Another thing.
And I've tried, by the way, but I have not. So this is what I do. Y'all can all laugh. I will be like, okay, I need to do Instagram stories, press record, go. And I have no clue what I'm doing. So what do we need to do on Instagram stories? How do we get started if we're not doing them?
So, a lot of us are curating our feeds to begin with. And that is, I like to say your feed is the glossy, the polished side of your brand that tells a complete brand story, for someone who can come to your feed and make a snap judgment in 30 seconds, whether your feed is the right fit for them to follow. And then the stories is the unpolished. So it's that snapshot with your friends on a Friday night. It's that behind the scenes of you cranking out some work for your business that week. If you're just doing pictures, and that's just a way to let people into your real life because everything's so glossy. Now, of course you want to keep it on brand. So don't, post your food all the time on stories.
Yes.
Unless you're a food,
yes.
Expert. But it is a great place to let people in, to build connectedness with what's going on in your real life. So my, feed is very pre-planned. I have everything scheduled and ready to roll out, on autopilot for the month, a month at a time. But my stories is my day-to-day. And sometimes I'm more proactive there than others. Now, a great way you could get intentional with stories also is to have a segment, to have a Tuesday segment, kind of like you have here on Facebook Live. And then you could repurpose it. You could have your virtual assistant transcribe it into a blog post. So you could use that as like a weekly message platform, and then it could get transcribed into another piece of content. So you could get really strategic and, having just enough of letting people into your life and into the behind the scenes of your business, or if you're not the face of your business. I work with a lot of Pure Barre studios, for instance, where the owner isn't really the face of the business, the clients are. So they use the stories to highlight clients. This person just reached their 500th class. It's a great way to do client features, to share results. I have some stories that feature testimonials for my courses, and then you can pin them as a highlight. So they always live there as content that's kind of evergreen to kind of build connectedness with you.
So the next question, I'm learning so much. I'm just like y'all. I'm learning so much, everybody watching. We've got Kendrick Chapman here with us, and she says, I'm going to read it, helping you build your brand, steward your influence, and work from freedom. And we're talking about Instagram today specifically. So, okay. So I'm going to say this back to you, and I want you to tell me if I understood it. So my pictures, if you will, feed, I guess, on Instagram is kind of the glossy, more polished representation of my business. Yeah. The stories is the behind the scenes where they get to interact with me. Maybe you have a weekly segment, but that's a little bit more, hey, I'm giving feedback in sales school today, and here's what I'm noticing. And that sort of feels sort of more spur of the moment.
Yes, and while you can obviously plan what you plan to post there as well, it's just a little more scrappy, a little more in the moment, and your feed, the photos you're posting in your feed, only about 10% of your audience is seeing that. So you're also seeing a lot more engagement on stories, where you'll see double, triple the engagement you see on an Instagram post on your stories. And so, that's just a part of the algorithm, A, but B, another indicator that people like the raw. And sometimes the feed doesn't, a brand isn't able to fully grow when a feed is totally raw, when every photo you publish is just behind the scenes, not pretty. It's a visual platform, but stories are a wonderful space for that.
So what about somebody who has, maybe been doing Instagram for a while? This would probably be me. Had an Instagram profile for a while, and I really just sort of dipped my toe in. So I would not say my feed is polished. I'd say it's got some polish, some, do I need to scrap the whole thing? Does somebody need to look at it? What do you think?
I get asked that all the time. Should I just scrap the whole thing and start over? And I'm like, no. I'm very much a fan of curate 9 photos that are a new representation of the direction you're moving in. And we all pivot. If you look at my feed, you'll see different themes for seasons of time where I was like, this is the direction I'm going in at the moment, creatively. But if you queue up 9 photos to go live, that's the first few photos, the first few rows someone will see. That's 3 rows of content when they get to your feed. And then you can build from there, and that way, people can also see your evolution, that it's okay for them to pivot because they're looking at you and you pivoted, so they can too. And so I think you don't have to go through and delete every bit of content you've ever had. I think you could queue up, the new brand direction you're going in with Instagram and start from there. And I kind of teach, around what to post for a brand or business. And people will need to take this through the lens of, okay, are they the face of their business, or, is their business more representative of all of their clients?
Yeah.
But I like to say, in every set of 9 photos, because that's what, a person's going to see as soon as they get to your feed, that it needs to cover practicality, personality, unique value proposition. Oh no, I've forgotten my
I do that all the time. I'm like, wait, I created this and now I can't recall it.
So with practicality, you want to get practical of I'll come up with the 4th one in a second. But you can kind of cover, what are the practical components of your brand? What do you offer? With personality, who are you? How can they connect with you? So you see people building in like, oh my gosh, I know Kelsey eats dessert. I mean, she could eat that for 3 meals a day. Like, people know that I love chocolate, that I love coffee. You see coffee, like little comments about coffee woven into lots of different parts of my brand. They know my personality type. I'm always talking about that in my captions. That's like kind of my personality. Those are the memorable tidbits. I know of a girl online who has built her love of mac and cheese into her brand, and everyone knows it. It's in her podcast. I mean, like, people know she loves mac and cheese, and when she went gluten-free, people were sending her mac and cheese recipes that were gluten-free. Like, those are little personality components that are built into someone's brand. Now, again, if you have more of a corporate style business, or you're not the face of it, you could build in personality around your clients, the type of client you have, who your ideal customer is, and, what is she like? What are her quirks? What are her habits or his habits? Unique value proposition, what sets you apart? So I like to use myself as an example here. And when I, was building a course around Instagram, I kind of was thinking through what sets me apart. Why do I have the credibility to teach on Instagram over the next person? And one of my mentors kind of was like, Kelsey, your unique value proposition is that you have street cred. You've had your hand on over 200 accounts. You didn't just grow your audience to 50,000 followers and decide to teach on it. You actually have the street cred to say, no, I've tested these strategies on other people. So what helps a customer decide to work with you instead of someone else? And that's what sets you apart. You're answering that question for them before they even ask. So practicality, personality. Guys, I'm embarrassed that I can't even remember my
Don't be embarrassed. It happens to me all the time.
I teach on this all the time.
I know. Well, okay, so practicality, personality, unique value proposition. I think that's a great distinction for the unique value proposition as well, because we teach this in sales school. We call it your unique selling proposition, but it's the same thing. And students seem to struggle with that. Well, how do I know? When I'm like, okay, answer this question. Why would someone hire you? Why can they trust you? Right? Yeah. Why are they going to give you their money to let you help them solve your problem? So Okay. So now I have a different question, and your opt-in is about this. And I remember now this is what I opted in for. So hashtags.
I thought that might be the one.
Hashtags. It's so funny because one of my instructors said, Kendrick, you don't use hashtags in Instagram. Why not? And I'm like, because I haven't gotten there yet. Like, I need to learn all this stuff. So hashtags, tell us about them. I am totally stumped with hashtags. So tell me about them.
Well, I'll tell you the last nugget of those 4 before I move on. Because expertise, practicality, personality, unique value proposition. So expertise is what you do. Practicality are little practical takeaways they can do at home or do on their own. It's kind of the tip of the iceberg. And then you have the full gamut, then your personality, then your unique value proposition.
So like practicality could be like sales tips, right?
Yeah,
like in like the tip of the day or something like that.
Right. Well, you're not giving away the whole store,
right?
But you're giving away something that builds trust. That's very practical that they can start building with. And then they say, wow, I really trust Kendrick. She gave me something that really worked for me. I'm going to go back and join her program because if her free nugget worked for me, then her program is definitely for me. And I think that is is kind of operating out of generosity. An example I like to use out of Blogilates as an account I like to follow. You get to her account and you know her expertise is fitness. Like that's very obvious through every single photo, but she has quite a few photos that indicate her expertise. But then practical takeaways she gives you is little 50-second videos that are set to music with maybe 4 different workout moves you can do in your living room. But then, of course, if you love those, you can go buy her workout DVD. It's building a little bit of trust with something for free, something very practical that pertains to her brand, and then you can buy the full gamut.
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell me the difference between your unique value proposition and your, am I saying that right? Is that what you unique?
Yeah.
And expertise. What's the difference between those two?
So, I mean, I have a few different expertises. So people will look at my feed and they might see something that chats about my Instagram course, something that chats about my podcast course. And those are just, different facets of my expertise. But then when I get into my unique value proposition, that's more about my why. Why am I qualified to teach them? Yes, my expertise is Instagram or podcasting. But why am I qualified to teach them? And it's because I spent years perfecting, the strategies. I've practiced it not only on teaching them, I've also, practiced that on other accounts or other podcasts. And so kind of just what sets you apart.
I think I've done, and I'm not sure exactly, so I may be way off, plus or minus, but I'm going to guess I've done 100 interviews. It's the first one I've ever taken notes on.
Oh, wow. Like thank you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be
here. Okay. So we're here with Kelsey Chapman and she's talking to us all about all things Instagram. We've talked about kind of, how to get started with Instagram. We've talked about the 9 photos. And if you don't know how important those 9 photos are, you need to go back and watch. And then we've talked about kind of the 4 different types of posts. And now we're getting into hashtags. Tell me about hashtags.
Yeah. So hashtags, there's thousands and thousands of hashtags to work from. And I kind of like to say, we've got to ditch, the very generic hashtags like love, business, all of those, because what happens when someone follows those hashtags is that those get populated every 0.027 seconds. And so when you post a photo with a very generic, broad hashtag that's also watered down with quality. I mean, if you go to love, it can be anything from a family to a movement to a business around love. I mean, it could be anything. And so we want to get down more into these niche hashtags that maybe aren't populated quite so quickly and aren't watered down. So when I'll create a list of hashtags for me, or I've got that quiz that will give someone pop out like 13 hashtags.
It's so cool. Excuse me, I interrupted you. If y'all have not taken it, you need to take it. I mean, it's amazing.
It's fun. And I went through and I opened every single one of those hashtags. Now, I've got to, refresh them, make sure they're up to date. But as of right now, every single one of those hashtags, you open it. And if you test it as the fitness guru, it's going to have relevant fitness hashtags that aren't oversaturated, that don't have a bunch of weirdos posting on them. You really want to open up those hashtags and see, okay, do I belong, or is my ideal customer looking through this? Because when I look at this and I only see a bunch of weird, sketchy photos or totally non-relevant to my business, I don't need to be using that hashtag on my post. So instead, if I am more of in the if I, have a business catering to moms looking to have a business, but also have a family, I might use a hashtag like Mother Hustle, because they have a very slow living culture of, you don't have to work from a state of manic energy. You can build a business slowly. That's life-giving. I would be getting very strategic in the type of people I'm targeting with my business at that point, because I know if they follow the Mother Hustle hashtag, that's the culture they've created around that entire hashtag. So you can go, there are a few ways to find, relevant hashtags. I often look at people in my industry, what are they using? And then I'll open them up and see what kind of quality hashtags people are, what kind of photos people are attaching to those hashtags. And then also, say I find I'll use Mother Hustle again. Say I find a great hashtag for my business, like Mother Hustle. I can search that hashtag, and then there will be suggested hashtags at the top of the search bar. And so then you can kind of go down the rabbit hole from there of like, I'm going to click that, open it. It seems like it's populating every few seconds. I'll get lost. Like my post will never be seen, but this one looks like maybe it's populating every 5 minutes. And it's more likely for me to be seen there, and all the photos are good quality. I'm going to add this to my list. So I, just kind of have a running list of hashtags in my notepad that I'll pop in, and I'll rotate through depending on what kind of post it is.
So when you mentioned that you schedule content out, for the feed a month in advance, roughly, where do you schedule it? Because Instagram's one of those funky ones that you can't use all the different things all the time. I know there's Ladder Game maybe or something like that, but where do you schedule it?
I love Planoly, and I love it because of the user friendliness. Hootsuite's great because Hootsuite is also a preferred partner of Instagram. Instagram just rolled out Insta legal scheduling. So there were some softwares that were kind of like gray hat techniques that you could work around for a while, but Instagram rolled out the ability to schedule posts for business accounts. You do have to be a business account. I think they plan to roll that out for personal accounts as well. But right now it's just for business accounts, and you connect something like Planoly or Hootsuite to that. And those are preferred partners. So you know that you're Insta legal, and it's playing, playing the Instagram game of rules correctly. So that you're not getting yourself in the slammer. But I like Planoly a lot because you can kind of drag and drop your feed, and you can be like, that looks off, or that doesn't. If you're highly visual like me, I like Planoly because you're able to drag and drop, and you basically have this mock-up feed that you can plan out your month or your quarter.
Oh, that's cool.
Wonderful. Now, Hootsuite people might prefer that because you can also schedule your Facebook and Twitter there. So it's just preference. I love the visual capabilities of Planoly, so I choose to be there. But Hootsuite does the job. It's ordered more like a list versus a grid.
Yeah. So tell us about what you do. I know you do other things besides Instagram, but you referenced before we started, and then also I believe once here. Do you also manage accounts for people?
I do. Yeah.
So tell us about that.
So I got started as a blogger. I knew that I wanted to write a book one day, and that I needed a following, and that a blog would kind of serve as a portfolio for the long haul. And it's really cool. I just landed my first literary agent. So I say that to say, like, wow, Instagram really does pave the way. Publishers are looking at your numbers. Not fluffy fake numbers, but if your numbers are real and relevant, a publisher then is able to say, I'll take a risk on you because you can sell books to your audience. And so it's really important. And so I got started just to build an audience for myself. And over the course of a year, I built an audience of 40,000 followers. And I started practicing on my friends' accounts, friends with different businesses, with different types of dreams. And I realized, oh, wow, this comes down to defining a customer segment. At the beginning, especially, I mean, I started this 3 years ago, but we were so obsessed with numbers that people were buying followers, and they weren't being strategic or smart about it. And they weren't thinking, oh, if I buy a fake follower, they're never going to convert into a real customer.
Yeah.
So I kind of just happened by happenstance to be a little bit ahead of the curve and saying, oh, I figured out how to grow an audience. And if I define someone's customer segment, with them and say, I just kind of like you would on a Facebook ad, I think my ideal follower is participating in this audience. I can target that audience and build an audience that's totally relevant for me. I often like to use the idea of if a fluffy, frou-frou self-help writer is targeting Metallica's audience, it just doesn't make sense. Like, there's going to be a little bit crossover. Sure, some people are going to love frou-frou writing and Metallica, but not the vast majority. There's a reason Coca-Cola is not targeting people shopping at Whole Foods. They're running ads at a movie theater. And people just weren't thinking like that about Instagram followers. They were thinking numbers. I want numbers. And I was like, hold on, let's build you an audience that's going to convert. And so I started with my friends. I took my first client in December of 2015, and it just snowballed through word of mouth. I mean, if you look at my website, there's not even a place for people to book management services. It's just word of mouth. And I now have my hands on 50 to 60 accounts a month growing, and helping them expand their reach. You know, I can grow someone to the moon and back, and that's great. That's just systems, but it really brings me joy to say, hey, this is your dream, and I want to help you get in front of more people, because I believe in your dream. I really believe that it's going to make a mark on this world, and I'd love to serve you in helping reach more people to really impact. So that's what
amazing. That's amazing. So, okay. So we can find you at kelseychapman.com.
Yes.
And I will put that link here for everybody. If you all have not taken her hashtag quiz, do it. It's fun. It works. And I mean, you get a list of hashtags that you can start using immediately. Are you taking new clients or no?
Yeah, always taking new clients. For a while, I kind of was very much like, oh, I'm not going to do this Instagram agency forever. I'll just have my programs. That I really made a shift this fall and developed some systems really on my back end of like, okay, we've got account managers now. Yeah. We really have a way to systematize this and make it a great way to serve people. And we'll just be riding this Instagram wave as long as we can.
Awesome. So here are my takeaways. Just for anybody watching, again, first time I think I've ever taken notes. Number one, don't scrap your whole Instagram feed. Get 9 really core photos that kind of answer the 4 things or speak to the 4 things: practical, personality, unique value proposition, or position, and your expertise. And let that be the face of your Instagram. And also that, you know, the evolution could be empowering or encouraging to people to see this is where you came from, right?
I do that all the time. I'll find someone that I really admire and respect, and I'll go back to where they started. I'll do it with podcasts a lot of the time. I'll get hooked on a podcast, and I'll go back to the first episode, and it's like recorded on an iPhone in their car.
You know, I remember I got access, and you may still be able to access it. I don't know, but I worked with years ago Marie Forleo one-on-one, and we got access to her very first Marie TV, and it was on her laptop. She was sitting on a couch with her laptop, and I wish I had saved that video, because what I want to tell people all the time is, look, I mean, even somebody who has, made multi-millions of dollars started on her couch with her laptop. And I think the video was like 8 minutes long. Yeah. So it's so empowering to see people's full story.
We all start somewhere. We all started with 0 followers.
And it's usually on your couch with a laptop, and you talk way too long, right? Yeah. Oh, wait, I got to ask one more question. I'm sorry.
Got one more question. I'm wide open.
Tell me about the other, so I don't even know what this is called, but the other thing where you only get like 30 seconds. What's the difference between that and stories?
So stories is the 15, 30 second, and then live is more like a Facebook Live where you can have longer segments for, say, an hour. And then you can share that over to your Facebook stories, although those aren't, those don't have as much momentum or steam quite yet. But I love stories, the shorter segments for connectedness. And then I would use something like Instagram Live for more of like a weekly segment.
Got it. Okay. That's the difference.
Yeah. And you could pull people in on an interview there as well.
Yeah. I just got asked to do that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I don't know how we're going to do this in 30 seconds, but whatever. And my daughter was like, no, Mom, they're 2 different things.
It's longer. So you have more than 30 seconds.
Yeah. Awesome. Kelsey, thank you so much. It's so nice to have a fellow Tennessean here. Are you a Vols fan?
Somewhat. I'm not very athletic. So my family, die hard.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, it's serendipitous because it's the kickoff of Tennessee football this weekend. So even though
Oh.
you're in Colorado, thank you for being here. You have provided so much expertise. Y'all can find Kelsey at kelseychapman.com. She's got a whole gamut of expertise here for you. Take the hashtag quiz. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been an honor.
I believe in you and I believe in your business. You can do this. Get out there and do it. Have a good day.